And you know, Patrick, they say that the sun never sets on a talk about the future of advertising. So hopefully this will be the best one that's going on now. I'm sure it will be with the calibre of speakers. But hopefully you'll kind of like my take on it. So the title of my presentation is "The Future is Not as Important as a Spirit in Which We Face It." So I've got 4 parts, ideas, insights into that. And the first one is, agency should keep one foot in reality, but not both feet. Let's break out of this horrible shell of wisdom and throw ourselves like pride-ripened fruit into the wide, contorted mouth of the wind. Let's give ourselves utterly to the unknown, not in desperation, but only to replenish the deep wells of the absurd. Now, this was something that was said in 1909 by Filippo Marinetti, and he was part of the Futurism movement, who had kind of a voice for us, kind of disregard for kind of antiquity in the past. And in those days, it was about machine and speed, where today we can say it's about information and technology. But the thing, I mean, this is a wonderful paragraph from the kind of the futurist kind of manifesto. But the thing that I think, the specific thing in this that I think's particularly important to us is the last bit where it says, the deep wells of the absurd. Now, I'll put it to you that your agencies, in fact, every agency, advertising agency, should have a deep well of absurd. And not only have this well, the most important thing is what you put into this well, what questions you ask. And we ask ourselves a number of questions that stand by the kind of the normal kind of work we do for clients. So things like, can we make clothes for shy people? Can we talk to people after we die? Can we control films with our brains? And can we communicate with people without using sound and vision? Now, I mean, really what I'm talking about is an R&D department for your agency. And we don't do this alone. We have a partnership with a university. It's Queen Mary's University of London, and their programme in media arts and technology. So what we do is, every now and then, we ask these absurd questions, and we get the students from the universities in, and we say, right, who fancies having a go at answering this question with us? And some of them obviously like pipe up and say, well, I quite like the one about talking to people like after you're dead, or I like the one about can we communicate with people without using sound or vision. And what we do is we sponsor them. It costs us, we give them a few grand each, and together we go on the process of kind of answering these questions. But what's important isn't that they have an answer. There is no kind of definitive end to this. What's really important is the process you go to when you're exploring these absurd questions. And I think the advertising industry and the agencies themselves have to behave like car companies. If you take a car company like Toyota, they'll have a whole range of cars, like, you know, they'll have a Yaris that will cost like £8,000, it's on the forecourt, and that is the bulk of their business. But every car company knows the importance of R&D, so they'll have a number of people within their organisation who, if you've ever been to a car show, will ask absurd questions of their industry. So they'll say things like, can a car drive in the dark without headlights? Can a car park itself? Can a car drive without people? And while investigating these problems, they learn more about how humans interact with technology, and that's the importance of having an R&D department. When we're talking to people in using technology, we need to know how humans understand technology and interact with it, so we can then go and persuade them. I won't go through all the ones, you can see them on our blog, but this is an interesting one. This is using haptics. So we're thinking, okay, for years people have got their information from glowing rectangular screens or bits of paper or even sound coming out the radio. Is there another way we can communicate with people? And of course we have touch and skin, and we all communicate with the world all the time with touch and skin. So this is an armband we developed. We're making it kind of smaller and more compact, and actually going to make it available as a hack thing, where it puts on your arm and it talks to your mobile phone with Bluetooth. So if you put kind of shapes in your phone, these here kind of resonate. So if you do a straight line, this straight line will resonate. If you do a curve, different parts of it will kind of resonate. And you know, we just explored this, but then we started thinking, well, look at the applications of this. And this, someone at Queen Mary's University, this is a professor, he's blind, he's a professor and he's blind, and he got wind we were doing this, and he came to us and said, look, I want to get involved because for obvious reasons, you know, if you're blind, you need other ways to communicate with people. So he was saying, he goes up and teaches the class, but he can't see the nuances of people's faces. He doesn't know if people understand what he's saying or what the actions are. So he was saying, maybe that is an application of it. Another application we thought of, when you get lost or you're cycling, every time you've got to kind of pull your phone out to see where you are, this could be kind of an intuitive way to navigate your way around the city. You know, it could just give a little kind of buzz for left and a buzz for right. There's numerous things, and brands can use it. You imagine the future where you could pick up a Coke can and through kind of resonance it can feel different than a Pepsi can. So again, there was no agenda to this other than really keeping one foot in reality, but the biggest thing is keeping one foot out. Second point, we must employ methods that allow communication to evolve in stages based on our response to its progress. Do any of you know this guy? Gerhard Richter. Now, it might give a few clues. But anyway, he's an artist. He was born in Eastern Germany in the 30s, moved to Dusseldorf in the 60s. And he's alive today. Actually, he's one of the most important kind of like painters still working today. And he's a curious man. For one thing, he flies in the face of convention, because conventionally, if you're an artist, they say you have to have kind of one kind of coherent style of doing things and stick to that. Well, he does very kind of like photographic, lifelike paintings, but he does kind of really abstract ones as well. So I don't know if you can make that. That's the kind of like Twin Towers there, and really, really kind of abstract stuff. But I mean, he's an interesting chap, but that's not what I want to talk about. I sent a creative team down to the Tate last year where Richter was having an exhibition, and I said, look, go to this exhibition, come back, and whether it's something you read or a painting you see or something that inspires you, come back and tell me something like from this exhibition how you can use it or how it might aid you in your everyday job as a creative or in advertising. And they came back, they loved the show. And they said, look, we realised this. There's something they read, a quote he had. He said, the paintings evolve in stages based on his response to the picture's progress. Now, so basically what he does, he's got an idea of a painting, what he wants to achieve, and he got there and he thinks what he's going to like paint, and he's busy painting it. Then he'll take a step back and reassess what he's done and change it depending on what's gone before it. And at the end of it, he usually comes up with a better painting, a more original painting, and something he's kind of happier with. And I thought, that's it. I mean, that is such a fantastic analogy of how we should be creating advertising work today, and definitely how we'll be doing it in the future. At the moment, you know, we are trying to do things with technology that's never been done before. We're trying to reach people in ways that they've never been, you know, experienced being sold to or communicated with before. Yet the processes we use are the same ones we've always used. Actually, what we should do is not worried about the thing we end up with looking or like the thing we, you know, actually kind of proposed at the start. We should be looking at the progress of this idea and stepping back and saying, right, is this the right thing to do? Is this working? Can we metamorphosize this idea into something kind of more interesting? And I mean, they've been doing it. Any successful kind of online company, Google, Facebook, the rest of it, you know, use this kind of process. They call it kind of agile development. I don't know if you've ever kind of used it, but actually agile development is the most kind of rigorous production process you can go through. It's not do anything and see what happens. It's what I'm talking about is something much bigger than that. I'm talking about kind of an agile campaign and an agile way to do advertising. Like there's no reason that we shouldn't do kind of beta campaigns, beta advertising, write some ads, get them out quick, see what's happening, see what the reaction is, and then the ones that are doing well, or the insights we think will resonate with people, if they're good, let's throw some more money like it. I mean, I'm sure that's how it's going to kind of progress. The first thing we have to do is change the process between the agency and the client and our process of building them. In the spark of creativity lies the future of the business. Now, there seems to be in the industry a lot of anxiety about new technologies and the pace of change, but let me let you into a secret. Machines are really, really easy to understand. Do any of you know of the last year they did this experiment, this Ethiopian tablet experiment? Are you aware of that? Yeah, a couple of people. Well, it ran around last year, and what they did, they have this thing called OLCP, one laptop per child, and they go into third world countries with laptops, and they try and teach third world people who've never seen a laptop before, kind of use it for education. They did this experiment where they had 2 villages in Ethiopia, and they put, I think it was something like 500 boxes of laptops in each village, and left it. Didn't say a thing. There was no instructions manual. There was no kind of humans there. I think there might be a couple of humans documenting it, and that was it. And I want to read to you the outcome of this. And this was from Nicholas Negroponte at an MIT Technology Review at MTech conference last year. He said, "We left the boxes in the village, closed, taped shut. No instructions." Actually, I've got one slide. "No instructions, no human being. I thought the kids might play with the boxes. Within 4 minutes, one kid not only opened the box, but he found the on-off switch. He'd never seen an on-off switch before. He powered it up. Within 5 days, they were using 47 apps per child per day." They'd never seen a computer before, these kids. "Within 2 weeks, they were singing ABC songs in English in the village." Didn't speak English before this. "And within 5 months, they had hacked Android." It said some idiot in an organisation or in the media lab had disabled the camera, and they figured out it had a camera and they hacked it. Believe me, do not be anxious about technology. It's really, really, really easy to understand. Now, what's hard is how do we use new technologies to engage with people, to persuade people, to get people to change their habits, to get people to change what whiskey brand they drink. That's what's difficult, and that's why creativity and the kind of creative spark will always be the most important thing in our industry. Forget what technology changes and what comes along. It is that creative spark. So these creative people in your industry, and I'm not talking about the creative department or creatives, I'm talking about creative people in your company. They should be revered and held on a pedestal, because they are the ones that the future belongs to. Although I did actually, saying that, I did have a big discussion with the tech director saying that in 2042 we'll come to the point of singularity where computers are more intelligent than man, but that's a whole nother talk. Okay, my last point, and it will only take a minute to say, is be a diplomat for the advertising industry. And what do I mean by this? I mean that speak highly of your industry wherever you go and whoever you meet. So I've got a feeling, I know you hear kind of like stories of the great kind of peaks and troughs of the advertising industry. I think we've lost some confidence as an industry in the whole, and I think clients know it, and I think they kind of smell it, and I think we can recapture this confidence. I've never read a kind of self-help book before, but I'm sure they say things like, if you talk positively about something, it's like it's connected, or some kind of like positive circle. And I truly believe the way we can get more confident as an agency is by word of mouth. So when you talk to your mum, or your father or a friend or a client, you should talk very highly about the industry we're in, because what's kind of the alternatives? And you might say, well, I don't agree with you. I don't want to speak highly of our industry because that's not the way I think about it. Then I say you've got two options. You can either change it within, which actually, whatever level you are in agency, is I think easy to do. You can change your agency. I'm a boss of an agency, and I'm crying out for like our staff to make changes to make our agency better and make it an industry they want to work in. Or you can get out. I can't see any other scenarios in that. And I know it can be frustrating sometimes, but I just want to read this, because if I try and do it off the top of my head, I'll mess it up. We should rejoice in the fact we are working in the advertising business. When we are relieved of the kind of the fear of this constant change and the anxiety of tech, in advertising, again, it becomes an exhilarating adventure where imagination and vision lead to conceptual leaps and wonderfully surprising creations. Thank you.